This program was created in part utilizing the Sound Collection Lab located in the History, Social Sciences, Philosophy Department on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith. The views expressed herein do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of History, Social Sciences, Philosophy, or its faculty, or the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith.
Hey, this truck like it's getting ready to move here. I couldn't see if it was him or not.
Don't see Mr. Interstate.
Hey, can you stay with Philippe real quick?
10-4, 12.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming back to Bill Hollenbeck's Beyond the Badge. I'm so excited about today's episode. We have a very, very dear and close friend of mine as our special guest. Today we have Ronnie Brown, who is retired sheriff of Crawford County.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, you know, Ron and I both became sheriff about the same time, and we knew each other beforehand and so forth. But we really got to know each other as basically being partners. You know, he was my partner across the river, I used to say. So, hey, again, thank you everybody for joining us. And this podcast is coming from the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith, the Sound Collection Lab. Also, my co-partner here in crime, of course, is Dr. Kevin Jones with the University of Arkansas here at Fort Smith. And, of course, again, Ronnie Brown, who is the retired sheriff of Crawford County. Ron, thank you so much for coming on board. I'm so honored to have you, and we used to have a lot of fun together. Unfortunately, we don't get to see each other as often as we did. Sometimes it wasn't at the best of occasion, but a lot of times it was. We literally watched a hospital be built.
Driving back and forth to Little Rock.
Driving back and forth to Little Rock with the Arkansas Sheriff's Association being involved in that. And we'll touch a little bit on what the association is and how it helps law enforcement as a whole, and specifically sheriff's offices across the state, the great state of Arkansas. But like I do with every other guest, I'd like to read just a short bio. Ron was raised in Fort Smith from the age of 2. He is a graduate of Northside High School. Go Bears. Appreciate that.
Go Bears.
That's right. Ron also received his EMT certification right here at the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith when it was called Westart Community College. He started out as a EMT with Logan County EMS for only about 3 months. Then he took a position with Southern Medical Services, and he worked for Crawford County EMS for about 5 years. And then I think the police bug hit you. You became a reserve officer for Alma PD, where you were there for approximately 14 and a half years as a full-time law enforcement officer. Also, then you got into the world of sheriffing. I understand that Mike Allen asked you to be his chief deputy when he ran for sheriff back in the day. And then after Mike retired, it was time for you to carry the torch, and you ran for sheriff of Crawford County and won that race. And you were sworn in, I believe, January 1st, 2011, just like I was. Yep. And you served as sheriff until you retired August 3rd, 2021. You've been in law enforcement for about 31 years. That's an amazing feat in itself. But of course, you know, none of that is possible without your amazing wife, Darla, who had been with you through thick and thin and is still there. And you know, you've often told me that she's your driving force and is what keeps you centered. You know, just like any good man. I certainly have one, and Karen as well.
Amen.
So they're the ones who really mold and make us who we are.
Best campaign managers ever.
Whether we like it or not.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Keep us on our toes.
I often say when you learn the art of saying yes, dear, your life gets
Right.
better. She gets tired of me hearing that, so I'm sure she's going to watch this. And when I get home, she'll knock me in the side of the head. But no, it's the truth. I mean,
is.
they're usually smarter than we are, so we have to admit.
And it's
that.
hard to live with a cop.
Oh, isn't it though? Oh my gosh, what we see,
We've
deal
actually
with.
had that as a subject already on
Yes.
2 of our episodes. Might get into that.
Right. It's kind of a reoccurring theme of the challenges of being a police officer, you know, in today's world, and then trying to compartmentalize it and then you bring it home. You know, sometimes it has to come out, and luckily, you know, there's a good woman at home who will listen and understand, and at times put you back in your place.
And you have to understand that she's a civilian, and she
Yeah.
thinks like a civilian, but you got to talk to her.
Yes, absolutely. You got that right. So tell me, growing up in Fort Smith, you went to elementary here, school, middle school, high school. What elementary school did you go
Went
to?
to Sutton Elementary.
Sutton Elementary, a fellow roadrunner.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, he lived.
Sutton, we don't know nothing.
I don't know if Fort Smith schools would appreciate that. Just a joke. But no, you lived. I lived on the north side of Sutton, and you were on the south side. You kind of ran with a mutual friend, Mark Wilkes, a little bit.
Darla did.
Darla did.
I
Okay.
lived by the state police headquarters.
Okay. Well, so did Mark.
56 lane.
Okay. So you were about two,
Oh,
three
that's right.
streets
He was on
over.
52nd.
That's
That's
right.
I thought
That's right.
his dad's store was on the other side of town.
There you
That's
go.
right. Yeah.
So we kind of ran the same streets and went to the same school. I was about 3 or 4 years ahead of you a little bit, but I guarantee our paths crossed around Sutton there on that playground. So that, I guess you went to Kimmons.
Kimmons and
Okay.
Northside.
Great. So how did you like Kimmons Junior High? Being
Kimmons
a Red
Junior High?
Raider, yeah.
You know, the transition from elementary school to Kimmons was a big deal because you changed classes and it was a different. My granddaughter's experiencing now. You know, there's a different variety of kids, and I don't know. You know, Fort Smith Public Schools to me, you know, it's not like it. I guess now. I mean, it was just fun, and I wasn't a real popular kid, but you know, as my dad said, I graduated the first time around. That was an accomplishment.
That's an accomplishment for anybody. But yeah, you know, I can remember that transition too. It's your 7th grade year. You don't know anything. You know, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, and you don't know where your class is. You don't know your combination.
4 minutes to
Oh,
get to class.
yeah.
That seems like a lifetime now, but it was a short time. Back
And
then.
at that age, that was probably the most stressful thing ever. You know, also trying to make friends, of course, and
Well, you know a little bit about schools in your most recent position.
right, no doubt. It's just
Last
it's
2,
tough.
actually,
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, being married to an educator, I get to see it from that viewpoint as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed Kimmons as well. I think, you know, my favorite year, of course, was the 9th grade year. You're already used to it, and now you're the you know,
the big dog.
the big dog on campus and so forth. And then you get to start all over again.
Start all over
when you went to Northside
Northside,
High
yeah.
School. So how was that?
That was a
transition?
shock. Yeah.
Was it? Tell me about that.
Well, you were mixed in with, you know, some of your classes. You were mixed in with juniors and seniors, and they were like adults. I mean, it was just
they had
different
they
variety.
did.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
they
mean,
had
like I'm in class with a grown man. He's a senior.
He's like 34, you know.
Looked like 34.
Oh, then you're trying to find your classes again.
Oh,
You
yeah.
forget where your locker
And you went
is.
a lot further. I mean, you went from
Yeah.
one end of the campus to the other.
Right.
And I guess what I enjoyed most about it was back then, I don't know if they do not now, but we had an open lunch campus.
Right.
Yeah.
When you walked across Rogers Avenue and got a burrito from the gas station
I
your sophomore
remember
year,
that,
then
yeah. Walk
Or,
down
or
to
you went to
Hardee's.
Porta's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
we did that once or
Porta's,
twice.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we would
Hardee's,
go to
yeah.
Hardee's a lot as
Yeah.
well, and so
Yeah.
forth. And there was a corn dog or a hot dog place right across the street from Northside. We used to go there as well too.
What about
so.
the white spot?
You know, I didn't start
was
going to
further
the
down.
white spot until I started driving.
Yeah.
You know, and then you kind of discover these things. You know, that are
Then
are
the
kinda
Sonic was
secret
built on
gems
Greenwood.
that you
Right.
always hear
Right.
about and you
Yeah.
get to go
Sonic,
to. So
yeah.
Sonic and
on Greenwood, yeah.
cruising the day. So you were
Cruise Grand.
You grew up in the era of cruising Grand and Greenwood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, and there's people that are going to watch this.
Now,
you know,
wait. What did you drive?
Me? Oh, you'll laugh.
No.
My dad got a company truck, so I got his pickup. Out of 6 kids, I got his pickup. It was a 1973 International pickup, the old binder.
A solid.
Solid.
Hey.
The combine kid. I was
Hey.
the combine kid.
At least you didn't have to drive a Chevy Vega.
Yeah. Or my mom had a Matador station
That's what I
wagon,
had.
so I didn't have to drive
Yeah.
anything.
Oh man, dude, I was just happy to be driving back then.
Vegas are kind of cool now.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen them?
No,
Yeah, they're
they
redoing
came.
them.
They're classic
You have
cars.
got to be
No,
kidding.
it's not
me.
like a Pinto or anything.
Okay,
I mean,
well.
Pintos catch fire
Yeah.
immediately. But a Vega, it's got
Yeah.
some style.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate that. I didn't know I had style back then.
They're
Well, I
in car
probably didn't
shows.
have style.
Yeah,
back
they're out
then.
there. They're out.
Oh, cool. Good deal. So, after Northside or during Northside, were you in any civic clubs, band, play sports, anything like that? Or
I tried football in my sophomore year during off season. I got my leg broke. And then the first day of pads, I got my wrist broke. And when my dad was in the emergency room, he told me, he said, boy, he said, I don't think football's a good idea for you. I think
wise man.
I think you'd be better off getting a job. So I got a job after school. And then my junior year, I started the half a day.
Okay.
And my
Yeah.
mom asked me, what do you want to do? Well, I wanted to be an EMT, a paramedic. That was
Right.
that was my kid
So
goal.
much safer than
Yeah.
football.
Oh, no
Yeah.
doubt.
But I was too young. So I said, well, I like woodworking class.
Okay. Yeah.
And so my mom put an ad in the paper saying, young boy still in school wants to learn woodworking trade. And I went to
Really?
work for a cabinet shop. They called my mom's number, home number, or house number. And I went to work for a cabinet shop called Craft Kitchens.
Wow.
And I worked them until I went to work for the ambulance service.
Now, where was that at?
It was on 3rd and A Street.
You know, how innovative of your mom. I mean, how that is so cool that she did that.
But I didn't get to do woodworking until
Yeah.
I was 18. I had to sweep the floor and empty the trash cans.
You have to start from
and
the
run,
bottom. You
and
got to
run,
start somewhere.
from the bottom and do deliveries.
Do you still do any woodworking?
I have a woodworking shop at my house. I
Wow.
play around with it. I built
Yeah.
in my first house. I built my own cabinets.
Okay.
I haven't done a lot of major cabinet work in a long time, but
Well, that
I
is
can
Quite
still
a
play with
skill.
it.
planted the seed, started out young, sweeping floors, and now you were able to build your own cabinets in your own house. That's
And what's
pretty cool.
funny is when we built the new jail in Crawford County, the owner, Tom and Jean Hardgrave, they won the bid for the mill work for the new jail. And they asked the county judge secretary about me, and they said, how do you know Ron? He goes, he wrecked every truck I owned. And when the secretary asked me, how do you know Tom and Jean? I worked for them. I wrecked every truck they owned. She goes, that's what he said.
So, did we have a little issue driving vehicles back in the day?
I'm telling you, man.
Oh,
I had a
man.
hard time driving police cars, too.
Well, yeah, we got to hear a story about that. So, Alma or sheriff's cars?
Alma, when I was
Okay.
patrolman.
All
Yeah.
right. Wow.
Well, my philosophy was a good patrol car can drive through anything.
Okay. How did that work out for you?
Well, Joe, I didn't have any trouble with Russ, so I kind of learned how to drive by then when he became chief. But Joe done told me one night, one day he said, you wreck a car again, you're gone. Well, I don't remember the time frame, but it was just a few nights later. My brother was in the military, and he came in, he rode with me. And I stopped the car on the on-ramp to Interstate 40. And when I got done, instead of driving to the 15-mile marker and turn around, I back up. And you hear this, and I just sat there and thought, oh, my gosh. So I finally got out, and one of those reflectors had went down the side of the car, but that car had a piece of trim on it, and it was on that trim.
Not anymore.
No, it whittled it like a knife.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. So I told my brother, I said, get out of this car. I
Some
said,
super glue.
no. I sat on the interstate on ramp, and I pulled that thing off my car, and he pulled the car forward. So all you saw was on that piece of trim was a little scratch. And I thought I'll be fired. I thought this
You
was it.
skated that one,
because
didn't
it
you?
sounded like I caved in the side of
Oh,
the car.
my gosh. Wow. That is,
But-
those are funny little
But I-
anecdotes that happen in law enforcement that people don't get.
Only problem I ever had when Russell was chief was, remember Mike Springer?
I do.
Oh, great guy.
Good for Mike. Yeah.
We were they were in pursuit on 64 Highway, and his sergeant told him to pit the car. This was back when pitting first came out. Well, I had a brand new car sitting down at the station, just waiting to transfer it over.
Yeah.
So I got on the radio and said, get out of the way, because he didn't want to wreck his car. He got on we had a private channel. And he got on the private channel and said, my sergeant told me to pit this car. I don't want to wreck this new car. I said, get out of the way. I got one sitting down there, man. So I pitted that thing, and I turned it sideways, and I drove that thing in a ditch.
Oh, my
All right.
goodness.
So So I think,
And had you had any formal pit
well, this is
maneuver
where this
training?
goes. Okay.
He watched the Dukes of Hazzard.
That's
Come
right.
on.
That's all you
I
need,
watched the
isn't
video.
it?
I watched the video on it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so Russell was chief. He called me in the office. He said, "Hey," he said, "I heard you pitted a car last night." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Go to your personnel file and get me that certificate where I sent you to pit class." I said, "You didn't." He goes, "Exactly."
Enough said.
Enough said. So I think I got a little letter in my file for that, or
Oh, man.
verbal warning type deal.
But it was a darn good pit, though.
It was a great one.
I mean, it was like classic. I would
turned
imagine.
that car sideways
Sweet.
and drove it into a ditch.
Terminated that pursuit.
Terminated.
So when
Probably
did you
saved
start with
lives.
NASCAR, really?
Hey, I always said this job doesn't pay a lot, but what other job do you get a really, really fast company car?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Wow, that's hilarious. Going back to being an EMT.
Mhm.
So, did the TV show Emergency
Yes.
help? Of course,
I
just
grew
like
up-
Adam 12 also.
I
for
grew up
law
on
enforcement?
Adam 12
Um,
and emergency, and that was my goal in life. And of course, Arkansas at the time didn't have paramedics. That was a new program for us, but we had EMTs. So I came here to West Stark. Matter of fact, in this building, and got my certificate. I think it was an 8-week-long class. Lyman Long
Mhm.
was
I
my
took
was
the
my
same
teacher.
class. Yep.
My certification number was 9395. So, and still remember that. So anyway, put out applications in Fort Smith, Crawford, and Logan County. And I wanted to work Crawford, and Logan hired me. And I hadn't been working for Logan very long when Crawford offered me a job. And that's where I wanted, because I lived in Fort Smith, but Crawford had Highway 71. And this sounds kind of bad, but I was 19 years old. And that's where
wanted
the
some
action
action.
was.
Yes.
It was. I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
Bad accidents.
yeah.
You get great training, good experience.
Yes.
Yeah. of
I
course.
worked 3 months at Logan County and worked my first car accident my last night on shift. My first day at Crawford County had 2 fatality accidents with multiple injuries and a stabbing.
Mm.
And it just went on and went on, because 540 wasn't even, I think they were trying to dig the dirt back then. So we had Highway 71.
Yeah.
And it was just a trauma.
Wow.
Crawford County was a trauma
Amazing.
capital.
You know,
of this area.
that is not unusual. I mean, people get in this type of profession, whether it's paramedic, fireman, police. You want to help people,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and you're trained to help, and you're ready to answer that call. So that's totally normal. So you got a lot of good experience. In
I
the
did,
EMT there.
man. I mean,
Wow. How long did you work for Crawford?
it was we were a private ambulance service called Southern Medical Services, doing business as Crawford County EMS. It was county subsidized.
Mhm.
And I worked for them, I think it was right at 5 years.
Okay,
5
5 years. Wow, that's a long time.
Mhm.
That's dealing with physical trauma
Mhm.
day in and day out.
Mhm.
You know, that's people don't understand how difficult firefighters and paramedics and so forth, that some of the things they see and deal with, it can be tough. Wow. So how did you handle that? I mean, you're 19, 20-year-old kids saying, fatality accidents.
To be honest with you, we didn't have this, what do they call it?
Post-traumatic stress or
critical
incident
assessment
debrief.
after deal.
Yeah.
We had this deal that when we worked a bad wreck or bad scene, we went to Pizza Hut and got a Supreme Pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the deal. Oh,
Yeah.
looks like we're getting Supreme Pizza
Yeah.
for dinner tonight. It
Right.
was just what we did, you know.
Right.
And I'm very fortunate. I feel like, this is where God wanted me. And that's why, being a policeman, how I got that job,
Mhm.
that's where he wanted me. And I feel like I've been able to forget this and lock it up.
Right.
I don't know of any problem. I mean, I probably got something
Mhm.
that I don't know, but
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Very
That's a consistent story.
You're
with
bringing
law
it up.
enforcement.
Great
Yeah.
job, Bill. Way to go.
Well, hey, there you go.
yeah, I won't be able to sleep for a week now, but that's all right.
It's
Thank
all
you,
your
Bill.
fault.
Bringing it back to the surface.
Guess what he's eating tonight?
There
I tell
you
you
go. Yeah, Supreme
Supreme
Pizza.
Pizza. Stay away.
Darla, guess what we're coming?
Stay away.
Wow. So, what we talked about, I guess, the show Adam 12,
Mhm.
which influenced thousands. What do you think? What do you think that show? Why did that show capture that imagination in young men and wanting to become police officers? What was so
Because-
special about that show?
Because policemen were heroes, and I think they still are. But back then, it was it was a show, and really Adam 12, if you look at it, it was written by Jack Webb, and it's based on actual calls and actual incidences of the LAPD, and it was used for many years as training films.
Right.
Now I don't know about emergency being that way, but I do know that Adam 12 was that
There's
way.
Jack Webb of Dragnet.
Yes, yeah, he wrote.
Yep.
He wrote. He was an
Producer, yeah.
an LA detective, and also wrote both Adam 12 and Dragnet, and producer of it.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, that again, that shaped many young men to becoming law enforcement officers. You know, I was the same way. I love that show.
Actually, got to meet those two stars at Randall Ford.
Did
Do
you
remember
really?
when they came?
Wow, Martin
came-
Milner and Kent McCord.
Kevin McCord, yeah. They came to Randall Ford,
Okay.
and we got to go in, and I got somewhere at that time I got autographed pictures.
Really? About how old were you?
Oh God, I don't.
Junior
7,
high?
8, 9.
Yeah,
No, I was younger than that.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Neat. All right. So you decided to get into law enforcement, become a reserve for Alma PD. Is that right?
I gravitated to the Alma Police Department. I mean, I remember being at a Northside football game, sitting on the bench where I always played, and
Somebody's
it was
gotta
some
be
kind of a big game or playoffs or something, because 2 of our seniors were carrying a sign around the track that said "Go Alma, Go," and I remember thinking, "Where in the world?" You know? And then when I became an ambulance, I found Alma because 6471 was the main drag. Interstate 40 and 71 was the main drag.
Right.
And that's where Alma is. Well, with the ambulance, I just kind of gravitated towards those guys, you know. The chief approached me one day and said he wanted to start a reserve program, and he wanted to know if I was interested. And of course, I went to auxiliary school, the class that was put on by Crawford County Sheriff's Office. He picked 3 of us, Tommy Wilson, Doug Wilson, which are uncle and nephew, and me. And that's how it all started for me.
Wow.
And then I remember the day he called me, Stanley Couch, who I took his position, had come back in law enforcement. He was a county deputy, came back in law enforcement to run for sheriff and actually worked for the Alma PD. He was quitting and going back to his job at FedEx. And Marty Harris was leaving to go to the county. And Joe done called me. And you got to clean up his language. But he said, hey, he said, we called Marty Dirt. He said, Dirt's leaving me and Stanley's going back to FedEx. He said, I've asked Tim and Joey for the positions, and they haven't answered me yet. You're my 3rd choice. Do you want a job? I said, yes, sir. He goes, good answer. He goes, when can you start? I said, I'd like to give my employer 2 weeks. Good answer. And that's how I got hired.
What? And this is Chief who now?
Joe Don Gregory.
Joe Don Gregory. So what was he like as chief?
He was a chief.
Was he?
He was a
ruled-
no-nonsense chief.
Ruled the roost, did he?
I'm telling you, I watched him one day run the mayor back up to the end of the hall. He said, you go up there and be mayor, I'll be the chief of police. He was a good guy. I mean,
That is neat.
he was, he was, I enjoyed working for him.
Wow. You remember the first day?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
So I was a reserve officer, so I had all the uniforms and gun and everything. And so my first day of work, I mean, I had everything, and I was to ride 2 weeks with Stanley Couch, who I was replacing. Well, the second day when we were working day shift. At the end of the shift, he said, here's the keys to the car. I won't be here tomorrow. He said, I'll be gone. Okay. So I didn't think much about it. We had home storage cars, so I had driven my pickup down there. So I drove home, and the next day I had my wife drop me off because, you know, we got home storage cars. So I knew I was going to get to take the car home, but I didn't know what to do. So I went into his office. He had gotten there, and I said, hey, Couch said he wasn't coming back. What do you want me to do? I'm going to clean up his language again. He said, I want you to be out there. I want you to get out there and be a policeman. If you can, I'll find someone that can. I said, yes, sir. And honestly, I knew, I don't know if you remember Robin Kirkendall.
I do know.
Okay. Robin Kirkendall are probably best friends right now.
I bought
okay?
his camper.
Yeah, he bought his camper. We own property
Yeah.
together, okay?
Yep.
Robin Kirkendall and I, we'd kind of gotten off on the wrong foot. We knew each other, but kind of gotten off on the wrong foot.
So Robin is a
Retired state trooper.
Was a Arkansas state trooper, and that's
Mhm.
when you got to know him. Is that
Mhm.
right? Okay.
He was a, he was
Is
a,
this the teardrop?
No,
No,
this is a
okay,
different
different.
project. Yeah, different project.
So I just remember one day he got on the radio and he said, I was Alma 74 and he was H20. And he said, H20, Alma 74. I just hesitated to answer the radio. I thought, what does he want? So I answered. I said, go ahead. He said, 1025 at me at Commercial Bank. That means meet me at Commercial Bank. I thought, man, what have I done? You know? So he's already there. So I pull up and he's got this big old grin on his face. I said, hey. He said, man, I heard old Couch abandoned you. I said, yeah. He goes, well, if you need anything, just holler at me. I'll help you. I used to be an Alma policeman myself, or state police. Well, so I think I heard that, you know. So anyway, so after that, I'm telling you, my radio traffic was Alma 74 to H20. Go ahead. Hey, can you come over here on Church Street just a minute? Are you okay? Yeah, everything's fine. Just come over here. And then it'd be like, hey, is this guy breaking the law? Because I worked like 6 months before I went to the academy. I even got into a big pursuit in that time frame that 17 law enforcement agencies were involved in.
Oh my gosh!
And I crashed my car too, but intentionally.
Intentionally?
It wasn't no pit maneuver. I tried to T-bone that car.
Wow.
There was no maybe about
There
it.
was no maybe about that one.
I've heard stories back in the day where officers would be hired and here's your uniform, here's your gun, your badge, here's the keys, and not go to the academy for 6 to 8 months, you know, to learn how to be a certified law
It's
enforcement.
not like that.
No,
now.
not like that now anymore, for sure.
We had these video cameras in our police cars. Okay, Aetna Insurance had a program, and these video cameras were the size that Channel 40 and Channel 5 carried. Okay,
Like a bazooka.
it was, and it was mounted right there. I mean, you had to look around it when you come to an intersection, and there were VCR tapes. And man, when we do something, everybody meet down at the PD, and we'd put it in the VCR and look and laugh, and you put it in the trunk of your car when you filled it up. I mean, there was no. Later on, it came as evidence.
Right,
You did all that stuff,
right.
but in those
It
days,
was entertainment.
it was
training
entertainment,
purpose. Yeah.
And I'm telling you what.
Then you're on Cops on Fox. And,
oh yeah, you just handed it to them. Hey, we're gonna do a program. Here it is.
okay. Got my vacation on there too.
Wow. Hey, what do you think was? Who do you think was some of the most influential patrol officers? You talked about Robin, that helped you out. I mean, is there any law enforcement officer other than Robin, let's say, that really helped you mold you in a way that you needed molded?
Oh yeah, Robin definitely, and then just the Alma policeman. I mean, we were a small department. Russell, who later became chief, he was actually my sergeant when we got hired, and Mike Allen, who later became sheriff. In all reality, when I was reserve, Mike Allen was the only one to let me drive the car or do anything.
Really?
Everybody
Wow.
else is like, okay, this is my side of the car. You sit on your side, and if I need you, I'll tell you something.
Wow.
I'll tell you
Wow.
what to do.
Wow.
You know,
So-
matter of fact, one time I went to ride with Stanley, and one of his friends showed up, and I had to sit in the back of the car. You can't make this stuff up. But it's
don't
real.
think you
I mean, I'm in
You
uniform,
sat
sitting in
in
the
the
back seat of
back.
the police car. Yeah, so I
and
went
he had
on.
and the ride along got
Yeah, his
a,
friend. Yeah.
okay. That's okay. That makes me mad for you a little bit, but
Hey.
all right.
We probably treated reserves that way too, Bill.
Yeah,
and didn't realize it.
I probably have. Yeah, and I think I told you a story before the camera came
Mm-hmm.
on about one or two of our reserves with the county that.
Then you
Yeah.
become a sheriff, and you realize how important they really are
yeah.
and how they help.
So is there a little bit of hazing for the
Of
reserves?
course.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
We
You
don't
know,
need to talk about all
nothing
that.
too bad. Yeah, not too bad at all. But
Yeah, the hazing was
Yeah.
go over there and do that. And when you
Right.
did, it's
Yeah.
like, you probably shouldn't have done
looking back with Alma, talk about leadership for just a second. Any supervisors or chiefs that really helped mold you to be the leader that you later became? Anybody that really influenced you that could have been an influence in a good way or an influence in a bad way, saying that's not what I'm going to do?
No, we were pretty much and again, this is not negative. This is just
Mhm.
reality. Okay. Joe Don was very, very laid back chief. Okay. If you needed a set of tires for your police car, don't bother him about it. Go get you a set
Mhm.
of tires.
Right.
Okay. This is the way it was. Okay. Russell really more or less, Russell White managed the department. And when he became chief, we really became a more professional, accountable law enforcement.
Right.
Okay. Um, I learned a lot from him. And to be honest with you, it's kind of like when you grow up and become a parent,
Mm-hmm.
you realize, oh, that's why my parent did that. Oh,
Mhm.
that's what. And that's what I did because I went to the sheriff's office under Mike Allen as him being sheriff, as his chief deputy, his number 2 guy. So, my job was to manage the
Mhm.
place. So lots of things that I thought, why did Russell do it this way?
You
I
found out
realized why.
Mhm.
And that's probably for my leadership. He probably influenced me the most because things clicked for me.
Sure, I understand that. That's good. That's interesting. Yeah, Russell is kind of a legend around here. You know, he's been around the block once or twice, and
And he got
later-
baptized by fire
Yeah,
with
he
the
did.
Morgan Nick
He
case.
sure
right off the
did.
bat.
He sure did. So yeah, he's somebody I've always kind of looked up to.
Mhm.
A good man, very good man. Um, can you think of any examples without mentioning any names of bad leadership skills that you said, okay, I'm not doing that? You know, you've always had either a patrol sergeant or anybody like that
Yeah.
you know, would just treat people the wrong way or
Yes.
employees the wrong
Yes.
way. I mean,
There were some from some other agencies that I stayed cleared from because of that. Again, we were a small agency. We were a 24-hour agency, and we dependent on you know other departments
Sure.
for backup when it got bad
Mhm.
stuff. And I didn't go drink coffee and do things with some because
because
Yeah.
they were just kind of bad influence.
Mhm.
You know, to be as you said.
And
not
one time
speaking
I
bad,
had to,
but that was just a fact.
and one time I had to write a dear chief letter to Joe Don for something another department officer did that I was there when he did it,
Yeah.
and that officer was mad at me for about 10 years
We're telling the truth.
because he thought I ratted him out, but I got the phone call from the chief asking me, "Did you witness this?" I said, "Yes." "Where's my dear chief letter?"
Mhm.
I said, "Well, I didn't write one." He said, "I better have one." And he woke me up
Mhm.
because I worked the night shift. He said, "Well, I better have one down here in just a few minutes."
Wow.
And I did. And
Mhm.
it was, and that officer didn't get fired or anything. I think he got a little bit disciplinary, but I mean, we reconciled after I went to the sheriff's office
Wow.
in a general conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Finally,
like,
after
just
all
changed
those
his whole
years.
attitude towards me.
Wow. Cool.
Mhm.
That's good. I'm gonna have you scoot up just a little closer
Mhm.
to the mic when we talk, cutting out just a little bit.
I got too comfortable.
Hey,
didn't I?
you did.
While we're stopped just for a second, it's 4:24, and her person's coming in at 4:30. Sorry, on her way.
Okay.
So I didn't know if they were going to pop in. I didn't want the
Right.
door to come open
Sure.
or.
Can
We-
you? Is the door open right now or locked? It's or at least kind of stand by and just have her. I just don't want her coming in. You know, she
Okay.
does know. Okay,
Okay,
then
thanks.
we're good to go.
I didn't
Okay.
mean to stop. I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
we were good.
Good deal. Good deal. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's okay. All right, and we're going to call action. So you talked a little bit about becoming the chief deputy, the transition. Mike Allen asked you to jump on board. How involved did you get into his sheriff's race?
When he first asked me, this was in 2003. He told me he was going to run for sheriff and asked if I'd be his chief deputy, and I said no. And this was 2003. So in September of 2003, he went to the county fair and handed out business cards that he was going to run for sheriff in 2004 to take office in 2005. And what I didn't realize was that, and my wife had told me this, she's the one that told me, she goes, "You need to go tell Mike you're deputy." She goes, "Do you know how much?"
Lost that.
Yeah.
She said, "You need to go tell Mike if he wins the election, you'll be his chief deputy." And she said, "You don't realize that every time we go to Van Buren, you circle that sheriff's office and talk about if you would ever be a supervisor or in charge, what you would like to do there." I mean, this is reality. I didn't
Sure.
realize it, but she said that. So I called Mike Allen and I said, hey, I said, you really want me to be your chief deputy to win this election? And this is in the beginning of the election. And he said, you will be my first choice till I take office. I said, all right, we need to talk. So I wrote out a contract. I mean, probably still have it today somewhere on a yellow notepad of the direction I would like to see that department and what my role would be and what his role would be. And we met down, we were both still working for Alma, and we met down at the Alma Police Department and we talked about it, and he agreed and I agreed, and we stood up and shook hands. It was on a handshake.
Wow.
And Mike never deviated from that,
Wow.
from that
Neat.
contract.
Neat. So you had vision even back then. That's cool. And he was smart enough to understand that vision. That's cool. That's good.
I think he knew that I could bring that, me and him together could bring that to the show.
Wow.
What we wanted. And all it was and I'll just tell you what it was. It was simple. You know, if you line up 3 policemen, a state trooper, a city policeman, and a county deputy, and a person walks in and those 3 are standing there and they want help or directions, they're going to pick that trooper first because of the persona. I mean, okay. They're going to pick that city policeman second, and they're going to pick that county deputy last. I mean, it is. I wanted to reverse that.
Right.
Okay. All I wanted was when a county deputy walked into the room, people took a second look at him. And that's because that's how I was when I was a policeman. You know, I believe you have to, your first impression on a suspect determines whether you're going to be fighting him or putting him in the car easy. I really do. I mean, I did that with the ambulance. I felt like as an EMT, if you got out and you looked good, you looked like you knew what you were doing, you could do a tracheotomy and no one would question it.
Called command presence.
Yeah. And
And you're right. That can avoid major physical confrontations. By just looking good, acting professional,
You always look
having
good.
confident. Hey, thank you, honey. I appreciate that.
He made that uniform, didn't he?
No, I'm telling you.
And then you ran for sheriff.
Did.
So Mike was sheriff for how long?
Mike did 3 terms,
Okay.
which back then it was 2-year
6, yeah.
terms. He come to me and said, hey, if you're going to run for sheriff, you need to go start now because I'm not running for sheriff. I said, Mike, I will never run against you. Okay. I said, you tell me when you're 100% sure you're not going to run for reelection. Okay. And I said, because I'm not going to collect any money until I know you. He goes, you go collect your dimes. I'm not running for sheriff. That's how I got started.
Wow.
And Mike actually worked for me to finish out his actual number of years to make his retirement a little bit better. He went technically, worked for me, but the Van Buren School District paid the position for him to be a school resource officer at Tate School, Tate Elementary. And then that led him to a administration position in transportation.
That's right. Yeah. Got a real good job with
He did.
Alma.
Good for him. Yeah.
Sure did. Absolutely. So running for office.
I
me
had
about
it.
that.
I'm sorry. I had it easy. I was unopposed 4 out of 5 terms. I mean, I bought 350 yard signs my first campaign, and we put them all up in one night.
Yep.
Put them up in the barn because when the clock struck noon, no one had filed against me.
Wow. Man.
So
Celebration.
No, well, I don't know. I went to a good friend of mine. I said, hey, David, I said, I'm unopposed. Well, I was expecting him to say, because you're going to be a good sheriff. You know what he said?
Nobody else wants the
So
damn
nobody
job.
else wants the job. That might be a clue.
And how wise he is.
And my second term, same way.
Yeah.
Third term, there was a big switch in parties, and we were also asking for a tax for the new jail, and I campaigned for that just like I would running for office. And then my fourth term, at 15 minutes before the deadline, the clerk called me and said, hey, you got an opponent. And,
Who was that?
I don't remember his name, to be honest with you. I mean,
Okay. so not too hard of a campaign on that one either. Then
I want to say Samsonite, but I know, and that's not disrespectful, but I just can't remember.
that's
I think
okay.
his first name was Brad Sampson or something
Okay.
like that. Not
much competition then.
no, he didn't come to nothing. He sent a pie to one of the pie auctions. Pie auctions were still big back then. I told my wife, because Darla and I never had to worry about people saying, "Oh, it's election year, Ronnie's coming around," because we were going to this stuff because of her relationship with the people in the community. You know, she's been at Citizens Bank for 45 years. Okay. And we always went to that, number one, because it was a cheap dinner for our children, you know, for these and pie auctions. And plus, we were giving people.
Sure.
And we wanted to do it. So I never had to worry about people saying, "Oh, it's election year, Ron Brown's coming out."
Right.
So I told my wife, I said, "We're not doing nothing different. We're not putting up no signs." I said, "We're just going to, if this is who the people of Crawford County want, it's time for me to leave." And I'll be honest with you, I felt like I should have won by 70, 80%, and I got 54% of the votes, but I still won. So my fifth campaign, it was the beginning of the four-year term. I figured I was going to have a lot of opposition because of that, plus, you know, the big switch in political parties.
Throughout the state.
And by golly, the clock struck 12 o'clock again and no one filed against me. So I walked into my fifth term without, you know, so campaigning was not hard for me.
Good for you.
I was
Good for you.
I'm very humbled by that. I
Right.
want y'all to know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very
that's
humbled by that.
major statement from the citizens of Crawford County that, you know, they thought you were doing an outstanding job, and you did.
I thought I did. I did my best, and I enjoyed it. I really did. Now, there was a lot of headaches, you know, as well as I do. But at the end of the day and end of the career, it was a very good position, you know. And I don't know, Alma and the citizens of Crawford County have always been good and still are good to me. So,
You know, the Arkansas Sheriff's Association is a major driving force for law enforcement when it comes to specific laws and benefits for law enforcement officers and the public. You were deeply involved in the Sheriff's Association. Tell me about your experience with the ASA.
well, I believe it's a very important organization. It's kind of like our, I don't want to call it a union, but it's kind of like our networking. I don't care if you have a 3-man department or a 300-man department, a $2 million budget or a $25 million budget. You deal with the same issues, same issues with employees, same issues with the public, same issues with laws, same issues with other agencies and all that. And it was just a network to learn and grow from that. And then also we got involved, you mainly, in the legislative sessions. And I felt like we were a big voice in that. And I feel like, well, you did. You got the mental health crisis stabilization centers. That was a 3-year project. I rode with you. I was on that committee. And like you said earlier, we watched a hospital in Conway be built, you know, along Interstate 40. And not only that is, with the Game and Fish and the Arkansas State Police, we saved what we felt like were crucial changes into the retirement system, the APIER's retirement system.
That's right.
And that, I'm telling you, I really feel like that was going to be taken away from us. And it worked out good. It was very professional. It was very humbling. And I'm very appreciative to our representatives and our senators that saw the importance of that, and it stayed the way it is.
Absolutely. You know, there's something to say that when the legislative body is in session and they look up in the galley and comes, you know, 50, 60, 70 sheriffs walking in over some very important legislation, and they know that those sheriffs represent their county and those constituents are also their constituents. It's a major driving force on getting some legislation passed. Really, really is. So it was
Very, very respected
Good.
up there on that
right.
Capitol
You know,
floor.
we had some
As it should
great
be.
directors that I was involved with. You know, from Ronnie to, of course, you know, Scott Bradley. I mean, just they just did a outstanding job.
Outstanding job.
You know, just taking phone calls from 75 different sheriffs probably every single day or whatever. But I mean, the work that they do in Little Rock is just amazing. They when we took office, the Sheriff Association was in financial distress. It was, you know, as a deputy, I would see the Sheriff's Association would come into your county and they would bring um, uh, girls to come in to go sell ads. And so
For the book,
for this, for the Arkansas Sheriff Association
magazine.
and that is how they raised funds for the association. But most of the sheriffs at the time would assign 2 or 3 deputies to go out with these people in uniform in a patrol car, which I always had a major problem. Just we're taking these officers off the street.
For fundraising.
For fundraising,
Right.
and now you have a armed law enforcement officer coming in asking for money, which just didn't look good. And
Now, didn't they also do trail rides and things like that too?
yeah, they also had the Boys Ranch and
Boys
did
Ranch.
things like that. But when Ronnie and Brad came in, they changed all that to a more professional way to receive funds, and I think there was legislation through the bonding company that the Sheriff's Association was earmarked so much money because of legislation that the bonding companies worked with us and so forth. So it's a great organization, and I can't speak. I mean, they're amazing.
I miss that part most, that camaraderie between the sheriffs and the association, and just them meeting twice a year and sometimes 3 times a year. It's like you never left them guys.
Oh, absolutely, and everybody calls everybody brother, because they are dealing with the same things that you are, and they know exactly what you're dealing with. And you and I both kind of had 1 or 2 sheriffs that took us under their wing, that helped develop our, I think, leadership style and ability to deal with the association and Tim Helder, of course, comes to mind, that somebody that we obviously both think very highly of and helped bring us into the fold. So yeah, it was a great association, and you meet these other sheriffs that are just that you could have a sheriff with 3 or 4 deputies, and he's the wisest man you've ever spoke to. And you're a class 6 city or class 7 city, with all the staff and the money and but the wisdom that we were able to receive from other sheriffs were amazing. Another person comes to mind is Cody Carpenter.
Oh yeah.
He was the sheriff just south of me, and we tragically lost him in a water rescue situation where he drowned with a game and fish officer. But Cody, was one of the first sheriffs to reach out to me and bring me into the fold and help me to kind of understand the role of sheriff, role with the association and so forth. So yeah, that's somebody also I missed dearly. So he was a good man.
I gravitated to Helder from the very first conference I went to, because Mike Allen told me, says, you need to hook up with him because he's smart. So, and I did, and we became real good friends, good friends.
And he is, absolutely. Let's go back just a little bit and talk about your days with Alma. You're a rookie detective, and pretty much your first major case ever, the Morgan Nick kidnapping, falls on your lap. But yet you were smart enough to realize that it was bigger than the Alma Police Department as well. So you had a lot of assistance that came in throughout the state and nationally. What was that like, being involved in that case?
Well, backing up a little bit, Russell had became promoted to chief of police in August of '94, and he wanted a full-time detective, and he asked me to be it. And so August of '94 to June of 1995, that was my detective experience. Okay, and my cases involved forgery checks and some residential burglaries. And then all of a sudden we have a missing child. And, I wasn't a part of the, we learn as administrators, you have to have logistics. You have to get stuff in order. Public perception is you need to put boots on the ground. That's public perception on anything. But in reality, you got to get organized or you're going to be chasing your tail. So I wasn't a part of the organization of that. That was Russell, Chuck Lambert with state police. He was I think he was a lieutenant with state police then, and Dale Best was the major.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, Billy Bounds with the FBI came in. They did all the administration stuff. My role in that at first was I was like everybody else. A lead came in, I was assigned a lead. After that, we started getting organized. They had control sheets. The FBI had come in with some control sheets, and basically, you came in, you for a while you worked for a long time, and then they put it down to 12-hour shifts, and you'd come in at the beginning of your shift, and they would have on your name a stack of leads, and it could be anything from, hey, this composite looks like the guy I graduated high school with at Lincoln High, 1965, Lincoln, America,
Right.
and to anything. And your job was to follow that lead to the best of your ability. Okay. So that's what I did, just like everybody else throughout the whole time. Now, it gave me some exposure in life. Number one, and my biological father was killed in Vietnam. Okay. That's all I knew. I was 3 years old. My mom remarried a year after to Benny Brown. He adopted us. We had a wonderful life. But I knew growing up that my biological father was killed in Vietnam. Me and Larry, my little brother, Van Buren, deputy chief, our father was killed in Vietnam when he was a baby and I was 3 years old. I found out during the Morgan Nick case because I went to the America Most Wanted show. Russell and the FBI agent filmed it on a Saturday. The following Saturday, I went to answer the phones. Had a 24-hour layover, went to the Vietnam Wall, okay, got my dad's name, and it said action or method of death non-hostile. I'm like, what was that? Okay. So speeding up this deal, my sister, we have a sister also, the internet became popular, and she found out that our father was murdered by an American soldier over a dope deal. He reported him on a dope deal, okay? So, I got to go to, so that's with the case. Didn't get any leads off America's Most Wanted. Went to a lot of schools in this frame time, even afterwards, on children, on missing and exploited children. But October the 15th, 1995, everybody left. At one point, there was between June of 95 and October 95, not counting detectives and administrators and all that, and FBI agents and marshals and DEA and all that, there were, I believe, 60 uniformed troopers running down leads in this area on that case. But on October 15th, 1995, left. And it was me, David Hyden, state police investigator, and Nan Shoemate, I believe her name was.
Nanette.
Nanette, yes, FBI agent. And we picked it up from there. And of course, Russell, things were moving. The missing National Center for Missing and Exploited Children got involved. Still, a lot of phone time asking other agencies from other states to help you with the leads. And I don't know what the final count leads were, but I know that when I was active in it, I know at one point there was 3,500, and I heard they got up to 6,000 leads, and there might have been more. And we did everything we could to look those up. But I'm telling you, most of them were just, composite lookalikes, and you were limited And back then we were using Polaroid cameras.
Right.
And we would try to find that person or driver's license of that person and go to those two kids that were playing with Morgan when she was last seen. And we had a suspect description, and we would try to weekly, every other weekly to monthly take them a photo lineup of pictures we collected to see if that was subject. And we never got a positive lead on anything during my time on it. And I worked solid on it till February of 1997, and I went back into patrol, and then the school system and the police department partnered up for a school resource officer, and Russell again asked me if I'd be interested in it. So January the 8th of 1998, I was assigned to the Alma School District, and I finished my career there.
Before being chief at the
Before,
sheriff's office,
I
right?
went from 1995 to January 1st, 2005. Sheriff's.
You know, and I had a very, very, very small part in that. I think for about a month, myself and Steve Creek were assigned to follow up leads, and we'd get these lead sheets. And then I think I partnered up with David Hyden or some other state police investigator and went to all sorts of different locations. But, coming through that, I mean, just trying to imagine having to deal with a case like that and manage that without the help of other local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies is you just can't do it. And one of the if anything good that came out of that was when we joined forces for CART training.
Yes.
Which is child abduction response training.
Training or team. Yeah.
Team, yeah. And I think it was you, me, several other officers from different agencies. We traveled to Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, Indiana.
And Colleen Nick, who was probably one of the most amazing ladies that I've ever met, just seeing her outward strength and working and dealing with her tragic story that she would use to empower law enforcement agencies on being better at the response. She's amazing. I just can't.
I would
can't.
not wish anybody losing a child, okay, to an abduction. But if you look at the positive side of Morgan's abduction, is we all became better police officers, better investigators. Colleen started an organization that has brought many, many children home and has made Arkansas, through legislation and different things, a better at missing child and child abductions. And like I said, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. But if you look at the positive side of this, and it's still, to my knowledge, an open case. I know there's been some stuff found the last couple of years, and I really don't know the disposition of the case. But I commend her more than anything, and she kept my feet to the fire on the case too when I was involved in it. And when I went to the schools every summer, I worked that case, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, if I got my facts right, I'm pretty sure they hired them first, but they brought in for 6 weeks at a time cold case experienced detectives from other states, and they worked at most for about 6 to 8 weeks at a time. And I hope I have my facts right. I even think at one point when that ended, the city of Alma picked up the tab on it, and they did it, and they might still be doing it. I don't know. But I know they did that for a long, long time. So the case stayed open. I think it's still open, but it's not a case that was like, oh well, we're not going to find her. We're done. It wasn't that. I'm telling you, there was a lot of hours, a lot of work, a lot of tears, a lot of sweat, a lot of blood.
Right. The good that came out of it, like you said. I mean, now there's statewide CART teams throughout the entire state. I can remember
And those are
going to
very, very productive
very
and
well
bringing home
trained.
children. I mean, especially in non-custodial abductions.
And the things that you learn is, on a missing person, you kind of patrol officer goes out there, maybe a detective, and you kind of start thinking about it, looking at it. Well, now, I mean, it teaches law enforcement that it's all hands on deck from the get go, from the
right.
minute it happens. I mean, you bring these trained, experienced CART team members and talking about logistics and training and technology, and all these forces join together to hopefully solve the crime. And
You
so
might
we are
have
so much better prepared than we were back then.
Well, I think we're better also as a society in preventing those types of abductions as well. Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully, right?
And that CART team, again, it goes back to logistics, organization, documentation, very, very big on that. And at the same time, boots on the ground. And that's
Right. Changing gears just slightly. I remember flying in to Indianapolis. Do you remember that?
the tornado warning.
Yes, we're flying in a tornado. Or the
I
city
tell
is-
that story all the
city
time
is
about you.
under a tornado warning, and I mean, there's
A
lightning.
lady yells it to her husband, says, there's a tornado warning at the
We're
airport.
gonna die.
And we're landing.
And we're coming in, and I mean, you're up and down. If you didn't have your seatbelt on, you're hitting your head. And I look over, and there's wind shear that's pushing the plane. We're on over concrete, and next thing you know, the plane is flying over grass. And then all of a sudden he hits power, and we're like all skipping off the ground, having to do this several times before he was finally able to.
And this
land
is
the
what
plane.
comes over the intercom. Well, sorry, this is your captain. Sorry for a little bit of turbulence. We're going to have to try that again.
Or the lady next to me almost broke my hand. I had no idea who she was. She grabbed my hand and she started squeezing. Kind of glad she did. I had
The
somebody
one
sit
lady
next
was
to me.
screaming to her husband.
It was nuts. It was nuts.
And then Hollenbeck
Yeah.
says, when we were walking to the airport, he goes, I'm not flying back. I'm renting a car. You want to ride with me? I said, yeah, I'm riding with you. Well, we stayed a week in that town. We flew back, man.
We
were
decompressed.
wore out,
We
yeah.
had an opportunity to go decompress. So, yeah.
So I got to ask, have you ever ridden with him driving?
Oh, multiple
Okay.
times.
How would
And-
you rate him as a driver?
Now,
Yeah.
as an experienced
better
sheriff,
now,
oh
huh?
yeah, much
Okay.
better now. So
Yeah,
no, he's
I'm telling you, man. I got into pursuit one time, and my dad was with me, and I said, "Hey," I said, "when we get on this straightaway, I'm gonna bump him." I said, "Ram him," is what I said. And what happened in the car was you hear that old carburetor kick in, whoa, and I'm getting close. I'm fixing to hit this car, and my dad leans over and he says, "I'm not trying to tell you how to drive, but I don't think you need to be ramming nobody." And I backed off.
yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
that's my
Pop.
dad. Yeah. I mean,
Dad is still dad.
Your dad is always your dad. Yeah, I don't care how
that
old
was
you get.
funny. I didn't.
Okay. Touch quickly just on another horrible case that you and I both worked together was Angela Allen. What do you recall about that case?
That originated in Van Buren, and I'm trying to think. We joined the Van Buren Police Department. Was CART involved in that? I can't remember,
I don't think so.
but I
no.
know that
Yeah.
that we got what we believe was a location quickly. I don't
Mhm.
remember how,
Yeah.
and I know we went to Lavaca,
Mhm.
and sure enough, found her, and it was tragic
Yeah.
ending.
It
on
was
that.
a sad case. She was on this Mbuzzy app,
Mhm.
meeting a young man who she thought was approximately his age, and it turned out to be an adult, a convicted rapist who was recently released early. As a matter of fact, the original rape case is I worked that case, and he sexually assaulted his estranged wife, used in sodomy, raped her. It was horrible. Used an instrument as well, and was released early, and then this happens, and he takes her to a remote place in Sebastian County, and that's how we became involved on it. And
Along the river.
yeah, along the river. But I think Jimmy Cottle was involved, FBI, and I think we were able to develop some phone information that, she was in contact with
I
him.
think
off of
Patty
this.
Stroud
Yeah.
played a big part in
Big
that.
time. She sure
in
did.
the
She sure
phones,
did.
the actual communicating with
down.
the suspect on
Absolutely.
Facebook, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Following back on that.
Yeah, she was a
she had a
major,
natural act for that.
major portion in that case on being able to identify who the suspect was. And then once we found out who he was, we immediately recognized the name, and we started backtracking, where he lived, and we knew that he had some property not far from where his parents were at, and led us to the actual site where we discovered her buried in the barrel. So horrible situation. So
Bad
we got to remember, that online, these things right here that we give to our children, we have
Right.
to make sure that we train them up on how important it is who we talk to online.
Well,
Make
and-
sure-
Don't-
and
don't
you
be your-
having your children. I'm sure that was certainly a discussion topic.
Oh gosh, yeah. At night they charge their phones in my room, so that was probably all the way.
When
through
we
high
got a
school.
home computer, it stayed in the living room right to where
Yeah.
we could see it. I'm telling you something. I'm not the perfect parent, but my advice to parents: don't be your kid's friend. Be their parent.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, search their vehicles, search their phones. All you're doing is when you don't find anything, you're just building up credibility with your kids. But I'm telling you, remember what you did as a kid that you didn't want your parents to know. Your kids are doing the same
Yeah.
thing.
And add technology.
And add
to it.
And
technology
add
to it,
technology
yes,
that
yes.
yeah. Oh,
As one
great
policeman
point,
told
Kevin.
me, if he'd had a cell phone with a camera on it when he was a teenager, he'd be a registered sex offender right now. I mean, seriously. I mean,
All right, last question for you. If you could go back into time and meet your young self as a young officer, what advice would you give to yourself?
it would have to be with a relationship with your wife or fiance or girlfriend or whatever. I remember this in the academy. We had a section on, getting your spouse involved in your job. You have to remember your wife is, or your wife is a civilian. She thinks like a civilian. When she sees a police car running down the road with its lights and sirens on it, and it turns them off and turns into a restaurant, we know that he got his call canceled. She's saying, "Oh, he's trying to get to the buffet while the food's still hot." And when you talk to your wife about your day, she's going to look at you like you're stupid. Okay, but you need to communicate with her. If you want a healthy marriage as a police officer, male or female, you need to talk to your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your significant other, whatever, and communicate with them. And even when they look at you like you're stupid, you're communicating with them because they don't know our job. If we wrote a book about our job, it would be labeled as fiction and everybody would call us a liar. Okay. And don't take your job home. Okay. And don't get fired for something stupid. If somebody calls your mom or your wife a harlot, when you got them in custody, don't smack them, okay? Just go home and tell your wife, "Hey, somebody called you a harlot today, but I know you're not. I love you." Because in our day, we got a letter in our file or yelled at by the chief. In your day, you're going to get arrested for battery, okay? And I'm telling you, that's the difference, okay? And I was very fortunate, and I'm proud of this. You have to fight when you're a policeman. If you're charged to hold a line and someone's pushing against you, you have to push back a little harder, okay? But this job is like calf roping, okay? When you get that calf down on the ground and you get his 3 legs tied, you're done. Don't get up and kick that calf in the head. Don't kick him in the side. Don't yell and cuss him. You're done. Throw your hands up and say he's in custody. That's what you have to do as a police officer. I never remember hitting anybody because I was mad at them. I hit them to survive, okay? And in this job, you're going to have to physically fight, okay? So don't wait around for it. It's going to happen, but do it the smart way. I mean, I hope that answered.
Hey, I think that's great advice. That's
And-
great advice for all up and coming law enforcement officers, and something that I've even talked to my son, who is now with Fayetteville PD. these are things they need to know. And and that's what's great about this podcast. That, you get to bring this wisdom. Years, 34 years of wisdom, of hard knocks, of making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. So thank you for coming on board.
Absolutely. Thank you for being
I'm so
here.
proud to be able to call you my friend.
Him too.
Thank you so much for what you've done, the service that you provided to your community for many, many years. And I hope your retirement is full of peace.
It is so far.
Good deal.
So,
Good
Well
deal.
deserved.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Hey, well, thank you so much for joining us here on Bill Hollenbeck's Behind the Badge. We also want to give a big shout out to the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith for hosting this podcast, for allowing us to generously use their equipment, their sound lab here in the Sound Lab collection. So until next time, take it easy.
Thank you.
Lawrence? Let me see. Hold on. Laundry Park, 3600 block, Redondo, 6 Zebra, Adam Young, 173. I'm going to be off the air for just a minute. Now I got to go inside to see if they have one available. Hold on. Stand by.